Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind.
This is Joe Biden. On March 1st, 2022, amidst the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Biden gave his very first State of the Union address.
We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how we would try to falsify and justify his aggression.
And yet, despite months of extensive and careful preparation, Putin invaded Ukraine anyway.
We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable.
Which in reality doesn't mean much, because instead of completely cutting Russia off, the United States, along with countries like Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands, are still purchasing hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil per day from Russia. So, kind of a mixed message. And speaking of messaging, when you're a president trying to project an image of strength towards your adversaries, it would help if you could actually read a teleprompter.
We are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, and a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
81 million votes, guys. Now, I know that not everyone understands what is happening in Ukraine, so to ensure that we're all on the same page, here's Vice President Kamala Harris to break it down.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
So while there's a deadly conflict happening in Europe, Kamala Harris is relegated to talking to a morning zoo radio show hosted by a DJ named Headcrack.
Basically, that's wrong.
Anyway, let's move on to the foreign policy part of the speech and into domestic issues. First, Biden falsely bragged about creating jobs.
We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
Of course, that is a lie. These jobs were not created. They were recovered jobs that were lost during the pandemic.
The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years.
But you know what else rose at the fastest rate in 40 years? Inflation.
And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel. I get it.
Oh, here it comes.
I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact.
So, like 100 years ago, Joey Biden Jr. and his family that he can't shut up about faced economic hardship or something. And that means he's just like you, America.
We will grow the economy, lower the cost of families.
Lower the cost of families. Got it.
When we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying American. Buy American products. Support American jobs.
Then why did the federal government spend billions of dollars on COVID tests made in China and the Republic of Korea? Or is that different?
Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America.
Buy America. Got it.
And guess what?
What, Joe?
Prices of automobiles went way up, especially used vehicles as well. But
Yeah, I think Joe needs a minute. We'll be right back. Next, Joe Biden attempted to give a shout out to the members of Congress from his home state of Delaware, and somehow managed to screw it up.
Chris Coons and Tom Carper and my distinguished Congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America.
So he could remember the name of Delaware's 2 white male senators, but forgot the name of his distinguished Congresswoman, Lisa Blunt Rochester. Sad, really.
There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined.
What?
One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poor. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Everyone clapping for that clearly has no idea how the economy or even simple things like how money works. And for that, they need to be voted out of office. The midterms are coming up, so make sure you're registered.
If you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though. I had a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children.
So Biden's like, childcare is expensive, but when I was a senator, my family helped take care of my kids, so I didn't pay for childcare.
What?
Anyway, if you had Build Back Better on your bingo card, you're out of luck, because the Biden administration has done a rebrand.
I call it building a better America.
So Biden is trying to repackage Build Back Better into Building a Better America. But to quote the great Barack Obama, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig.
Intel, the American company that helped build Silicon Valley, is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor megasite, up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place.
What the hell is a tractory? I thought Intel made semiconductors. Whatever. So the day before the State of the Union address, Biden was spotted walking from Marine One to the White House alone and wearing a mask. I should also mention that his black KN95 mask was manufactured in China, which is weird because I was told that the federal government was supposed to buy American products or something. Not really setting a good example, but that's not the point. The point is, on this day, Biden is clearly concerned about the dangers of the virus. I mean, you don't want to get sick before your big day, right? But then the political science changed, because the very next day, Joe Biden could safely enter the halls of Congress without wearing his magic Chinese mask.
My fellow Americans, last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again.
It's incredibly convenient that the CDC just happened to change their mask guidance right before Biden's State of the Union. What are the odds?
And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives.
Where have I heard that one before?
While the virus hasn't been vanquished, we know this: it no longer controls our lives.
But sure, if Joe Biden says that it no longer controls our lives, again, who are we to be skeptical?
Because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases.
Oh man, I don't think I can take another 3 years of this.
Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line.
I'm sorry, what?
See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans.
Oh, really? For the last 2 years, Joe Biden has done everything in his power to politicize the virus. He said that if you didn't want to wear a mask, that you weren't patriotic. And if you didn't want to take the vaccine, that you were somehow putting the vaccinated at risk. But now he expects everyone to let bygones be bygones? Well, that. He can go to hell. And if you think that Biden did a 180 on COVID, you haven't seen anything yet.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
So for nearly 2 years, Joe Biden and the Democrats writ large wouldn't come out and announce the defund the police movement, all because they didn't want to alienate a large block of Democrat voters. But now that Biden's polling in the mid-30s on his handling of crime, he's trying to change the perception. But it's too little, way too late.
Folks, if we are to advance liberty and justice, we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system.
Says the man who broke it during his first day in office.
Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those with temporary status, farm workers, essential workers.
So let me get this straight. If you're an American essential worker who toiled throughout the pandemic, but ultimately refused to take the vaccine, the federal government, states, and localities threatened to take your job away. But if you're an essential worker who broke the law by crossing the border illegally, they want to reward you with citizenship. Got it.
Let's end cancer as we know it. Our goal is to cut cancer death rates by at least 50% over the next 25 years. And I think we can do better than that.
Consider that this is coming from the man who promised that he was going to crush the virus. And then when that didn't happen, he lashed out at everyone who didn't agree with him. But whatever. It's easy to make grand promises when you know you're not going to live long enough to see them broken.
Ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests?
But of course, it isn't about deer hunting. It's about your Second Amendment right to defend yourself against criminals and a tyrannical government. But Joe Biden couldn't give a damn about the Constitution. Anyway, while Biden was talking about veterans, soon-to-be former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi did... I can't even describe it. Just watch.
And our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan have faced many dangers. One being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there.
Yes, burn pits! And notice that when Pelosi stood up, all the Democrat sheep in the audience started applauding. Applauding toxic smoke from burn pits.
Breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there.
Woo! Burn pits!
Many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world. Never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness. A cancer that would put them in a flag-draped coffin. I know.
And that was Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who is 100% correct to call out Joe Biden, our so-called commander-in-chief, who didn't mention the 13 service members who were lost under his watch due to his massively incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan, or even the withdrawal itself.
One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden. I don't know for sure if the burn pit that he lived near, that his hooch was near, in Iraq and earlier than that in Kosovo, is the cause of his brain cancer, the disease of so many other troops.
Now, if he's not sure what caused Bo Biden's brain cancer, and to be clear, there's zero evidence that it had anything to do with burn pits, he's bringing it up anyway. Because Joe Biden would rather talk about his son, who passed away 7 years ago in 2015, than honor the brave men and women who died under his command 7 months prior. Anyway, that's it for now. A special thanks to Poofy for her help with the video, and as always, be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel, and hope to see you next time. If there is a next time.